Hey guys, how's it going? Azra Collections here, and today we're looking at a bunch of different bodies that I use for customs. And basically, we're going to take all of these bodies and compare them next to the VToys Zero body. So in this video, we will basically be looking at the differences of these bodies, the pros and cons of each body, what custom to use it on, also the things to note about these bodies, how the fit of the custom clothing is on these bodies as well, and also check out some accessories that I have that would fit on the body or not. So example of the accessories would be this Batman here. Basically, he has the gauntlets and the boots. We will be checking some sample customs that I've done before and just showcase some of the customs as well based on the different bodies. So the first body that we'll be comparing next to the VToys body is the MixMax Slim body. So the MixMax Slim body, I think, is a little bit too slim. I've given them both the same heads. Would probably fit like a Joker type character. I think more Scarecrow type character just because of his length as well. He is very lanky but also very tall. So this body does not mix well with other MezKO figures because of how tall he is. But yeah, that's the only downfall that I can see. So in terms of quality and sturdiness, I think that both of these action figures get it done. The VToys joints are a little bit better hidden. If you can look at the elbows here and the knees as well, they're a little bit better hidden. And the VToys seems a little bit more seamless than the MixMax slim bodies. But they are both made of good quality plastics and you would have no issues with either. So for the MixMax Slim body, I haven't done any custom suits or anything like that of my own, but I did get a custom 3-piece suit off of GPS lot on eBay. With the GPS lot suit, this is what the figure looks like. The suit was tailored obviously for a smaller figure, something like a Joker, but yeah, with this figure having like long arms, the arms stick out a little bit, so that's one of the cons on this figure. Other than that, I think it's a good enough figure and definitely a lot slimmer than the VToys body, but obviously they come with different use cases. So next up, I've got Shang-Chi here, which is more of a slimmer body as well, but a more muscular kind of slim body. This could definitely be used for like a Bruce Lee kind of custom or a custom of some martial artists, and definitely also can be used for Nightwing. So that's something that I'm keeping in mind. But again, with the the VToys body is a lot taller. The Shang-Chi Marvel Legends body is a little bit smaller. It's more of the Spider-Man kind of base body. So basically with the Shang-Chi body, I want to get rid of everything below the knee and replace it with some other figure that doesn't have like baggy pants. But it would be a great custom like figure body just because it's got good proportions, it's slimmer, and you could use it for like a Robin custom or a Nightwing custom, so something like a sidekick. So it's definitely there, or like a teen body. So even with the height difference with the VToys body, you can see that it's more of a teen or I guess young adult size. So next up is a KO Batman body from AliExpress, and that's what got everything started for me. So basically, I started buying KO figures off of eBay so I can take their clothing apart and then start customizing them. So it holds a dear place in my heart, but regardless, these bodies are way too small. They're even shrunken down from their MezKO counterparts. So when people started casting and molding them out of the original MezKO bodies, they for some reason shrunk a little bit. So they're like, I think maybe 5-10% smaller. So that's something you have to worry about. With the KO bodies though, there's a lot of pegs that you can use to fit in MezKO parts. So it works really well with other MezKO body parts. So that's one thing that these bodies have going for them. Also, because of Batman having swappable gauntlets, you really need like that gauntlet peg so you can put in the gauntlet parts. So that really helps. And also the cowl piece probably wouldn't fit on the VToys body, so that's something to look out for as well. The boots as well. The boots might fit, but with the VToys body, you've got like a different kind of boot peg, so you have to worry about that as well. So we'll do that a little bit more in terms of fitting stuff later on, but yeah, we'll get to that. So with the KO body, because they're so much smaller, that's the only downside to those bodies. Other than that, they're super articulated and they get almost everything done similar to the MezKOs. The only other downside to these bodies are that they are also very fragile, and I've seen a lot of these figures have the ball shoulders like pop off completely, and because the butterfly parts are broken. So I've seen that happen quite a lot. But yeah, that's one downfall of these bodies. And the other downfall is that they are a little bit too scrawny, so they're not as muscular as the VToys body or even the MixMax strong for that matter. So in terms of the MezKO bodies, there are also different types of bodies you can get. So on the right there, we've got the Batman BVS body, and on the left, we've got the Superman BVS body as well. So those bodies are still different. Superman is a little bit taller, has more muscle definition for some reason, and also the arms are more complete. I mean, that's because of the way Superman is. Superman doesn't have gauntlets. But the other thing is that they're always generally a little bit smaller than the actual MezKO figures. So whether be it in height or in bulk. So yeah, I think that those are also very flimsy. So that's why you wouldn't want to use them. But yeah, you can still make pretty decent customs out of these bodies. So in terms of customs using this body, we've got the half-baked Batman on the left there. I don't have any hands for him because I just gave it halfway through because of how small the figure was. And on the right there, we've got the Justice League version of Superman with the black suit, which I should definitely make a tutorial on, but I haven't yet. And that figure also has the original head, but the KO body and the suit. So yeah, that basically looks pretty amazing, and I really like it. But with the KOs, you got to worry about the parts that you're using. So the boots and the gauntlets and everything else definitely makes a difference in terms of height. So Batman was a little bit too short, so I just gave up on him. It doesn't look nice, and the suit is also not the best, especially because of the fabric that I was using back then. This was like the first fabric that I ever bought for customs, so it wasn't the best kind of fabric. But with Superman, it really paid off. The S looks, I think, okay, pretty good. Maybe I could do a little bit cleaner, but the suit looks amazing. So I'm really happy with that. Batman, not so much, but this is the type of custom that you can do with the MezKO body. So now for a like-for-like comparison, on the left we've got the VToys body with the KO Superman clothing and the boots, and on the right we've got a KO Superman just modified to look like the black suited Superman. So you can clearly see that the figure on the left, although the body looks much more proportionate and the suit looks much more filled out, is obviously a lot taller than the KO body. And the reason for that is with the VToys body, the thighs are a lot longer than with the KO body. So if you check here, the thighs are just a little bit longer, and that's, I mean, it's not a flaw, but it's just simply the way it's designed. So when you put the same boots on the two figures, because of the length of the thighs, the boots just win out. So the boots make this figure look a lot taller, whereas the figure on the right is a lot shorter. However, the bodies look completely different, and the VToys body is definitely better. It just looks more organic and aesthetically more pleasing. And the muscles are a lot more filling as well in terms of filling the suits out. And also, it looks less jaggedy or janky. So if you look at this figure here, it just looks like it's like very sharp corners. There's less filling out of the suit in the abs section here, so they're a little bit more like sunken in, whereas let him slant, hopefully he stands, there you go. Whereas this body, it fills out the biceps more and also gives you so much of a fuller kind of Superman look, where the body just, the suit hugs the body tighter and just looks a lot better. So I definitely like this body for this custom, but I think the thighs are too long and makes the body too tall, so it doesn't work with any of your other figures, and the body just ends up looking like a 7-inch figure rather than a 6-inch figure. So next we're comparing probably the best two bodies that I've used for customs, the VToys Zero body on the right and the MixMax Strong body on the left. So I think they definitely both are excellent custom figure bodies, and they've got definitely different purposes. On the right, the VToys body is more organic, more, it just flows a little bit better. It has less sharp edges, if that makes any sense. It's just more organic. There's no jankiness to the abs section here, whereas the MixMax body has a little bit more cut and jank and like jaggedy parts mixing together, which kind of is a little bit jarring at times when you're looking at it just the bodies, but definitely different purposes, because on the left, the MixMax Strong body, You can swap out the parts, especially with figures with gauntlets and boots. It just really helps on that kind of area. And also with the head, you can actually fit in most of the Batman cows. So I've got a few that I can demonstrate later on, but you can basically fit on like a Sovereign Knight cow piece or the neck piece, and also the BVS neck piece without any issues. So definitely useful for Batman customs on the left, and on the right, the VToys body is more of a Superman body, to be honest. Like you can't swap out the gloves or the gauntlets, so you might be able to get in like a Black Adam custom where you don't have to put on any gauntlets, and you can probably make things that sit on top. I'll show you an example later on, but yeah, so that's the differences here. I think in terms of articulation, both bodies do quite a lot, but the VToys body definitely does a little bit better. So let's look at a couple of like for like custom figures or very similar custom figures in terms of both being Superman. So on the left there, we've got a classic Superman using the MixMax strong body, and I've given him the taller boots, which are the Superman BVS boots. And on the right, we've got the Kingdom Come Superman custom with the classic Superman MezKO boots. So I always found that the classic MezKO Superman boots were a lot shorter than the BVS Superman boots, but because of the same issue that we talked about earlier, where the thighs are just so tall on the VToys body, the shorter boots make more sense and make the figure look more proportionate. And I think Kingdom Come Superman is drawn a little bit bulkier by Alex Ross, so that really works out there. So even though the thighs are pretty tall because of the shorter boots, the figures are more or less the same height. Kingdom Come Superman is a bit taller, but with the art that Alex Ross did, that kind of does make sense. So I think that's probably the best two customs that I can compare at the moment. And if you look at the VToys body, you can definitely see less muscles or less I guess definition, but there's the bulk definitely there, and the suit just sits really nice on the body. Whereas the MixMax body, the suit does sit right on it as well, but obviously there's a little bit more jankiness going on, especially under the rib cage area, so you can see that a little bit more. But both figures are, I think, really good and two of my favorite customs. So given the same boots, because of the thigh proportions, the VToys body looks colossal. So yeah, it looks more like a 7-inch kind of figure. So the MixMax strong bodies are definitely my most used bodies for customs. So here are a few samples. On the extreme left, we've got the BVS Batman. So that's the KO figure. I took the suit out and put it on a MixMax strong body and just made him look a little bit bulkier. So that's that. Right next to him, we've got the Nightmare Batman. So I bought the custom coat on eBay, made the custom pants myself. You can check out the tutorial, and also the scarf. So basically made him like a Nightmare Batman. Next to him, we've got the Superman that we were looking at earlier. So just a classic style Superman. Could probably be similar to Hush because of the head sculpt, but I bought the head sculpt on Facebook, paid it myself, so it probably doesn't look the best. Right next to him, we've got the Red Sun Superman. So I'm still trying to piece him together. Finished his suit, his cape, and also his neck piece, and also his trunks, but I'm still working on like his belt. I'm just waiting for some parts to arrive so that I can have like a good looking belt on him. Next to him, we've got the Red Hood figure. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good custom. I really like that Red Hood figure. I also did get from figuregear.com like some other parts, so I could possibly use that for the Red Hood body as well. But yeah, I'm not sure if I want to fit that under the jacket. We'll find out. And on the extreme right there, we've got the Batman from Flashpoint. So yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I think it looks great so far. And the face is also painted by me, so yeah, it's probably not the best. So next up, we've got the Marvel Legends Vance Astro compared next to the VToys body. So the Marvel Legends Vance Astro shares his body with a lot of other figures, so I'm just resorting to calling him like a Marvel Legends medium body. So yeah, the medium body definitely does work for some customs, and it does look bulkier than VToys and MixMax strong bodies, but it's just that these bodies are not designed to be under fabric suits. So there is a little bit of jankiness or a little bit of weirdness happening when you put a suit on top. So I'll show you that in a little bit more detail later, especially under the shoulder section or the armpit sections, which kind of bundle up and look a little bit bad. So in terms of comparing customs, here we have the VToys body in Superman Kingdom Come suit again, next to the Marvel Legends body in like a Black Adam suit. So definitely, like I was saying before, if we look at the underarms area, there's a lot more bunching going on. So that's because the body is not really designed to be under suits. So you'll have like inconsistencies like that where there's a lot of issues where the body that just doesn't feel right. So especially under the underarm. So that's where I've seen most of the issues. With the Superman figure, all of that underarm issue is completely gone, and the bodies look equally as bulk. So for Black Adam, I might eventually move to using the VToys body. So the only issue with using a Marvel Legends and a VToy is that the legs or the boots are definitely not compatible, and they just have completely different pegs. So Marvel Legends usually tends to go with bigger pegs. So I'll just show you an example here, which looks like that. So yeah, those pegs are pretty much just made to peg into the boots that they come with, whereas the VToys body comes with pegs like that. That's a VToys body. That's just another custom that I've done. It's just one of the older suits that I have that I've put on to the VToys body. But yeah, so the boots look, or sorry, the pegs for the boots look like that. So yeah, so you would definitely not be able to mix and match. So Marvel Legends, if you have some kind of boot that you really want to use, especially in case of this Black Adam where he's got the Buccaneer boots, I definitely want those boots on my Black Adam. So I would have a really difficult or challenging time to port that over to the VToys body, even if I like the VToys body more. So then there's like a win or lose kind of situation where you go with the Marvel Legends body, the shoes are a win, but you go with the VToys body, which the suit fits better, you're kind of missing out on the shoes. So, however, something that is really going well for the Marvel Legends figures is that you have a ton of swappable hands, because Marvel Legends usually have the similar kind of hand pegs that peg into the body. So you can have different figures and swap out hands, and also the heads. Usually in like the recent kind of waves, the heads are more uniform, so you can swap heads around if you want. I mean, not 100% all the time, but you'll definitely have more options. Whereas with the VToys body, even with this Superman head sculpt here, I'm using foam inside the head just to make it fit the peg better and so that it stays on the body. So next we've got the VToys body standing next to a bigger Hyperion body, which is the crossbones on the left there. So it's, I think the first time it was used was in a Hyperion Sentry kind of body, and then now they keep using the same body for different figures. Crossbone is one of them. So I had Crossbones that was basically still intact, so I used him, but I've used a couple of these bodies for other customs. So the VToys body and the Crossbones, they're, in terms of height, the Crossbones is a little bit taller, but because of the boots that Crossbones has, which makes him a little bit taller. Usually the other figures like Hyperion are a little bit shorter, so they're probably similar in height next to the VToys body, but the figure has definitely a lot more bulk and also has more girth. So yeah, so the VToys body does look a little bit more leaner in comparison to the Marvel Legends bulk body. So yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is the Marvel Legends is definitely lacking a lot in articulation and all that, so you definitely have a better time articulating the VToys body. And the Marvel Legends body is again not made to be under suits or fabric pieces, so they might not always do the trick. So there might be some kind of bunching under the underarms, and the articulation may be hindered a lot more because of the suit that's on top of the body now. Typically it's not the case, but yeah, the underarm bunching is definitely there. So pros and cons, Marvel Legends, you have a ton of hands to swap from again. So you could probably use Hercules hands and other heads from other action figures that would be good for the ball peg under the Hyperion Sentry head or the body. So there is a little bit more options in terms of swapping parts in and out for Marvel Legends. For the VToys, you can swap out the hands to get MezKO hands on the body, which there's no issues. Mostly hands you can swap out, but with the boots you've got more troubles because they might not always fit perfectly on the VToys body. So in terms of the custom comparisons, we've got the DKR pair using the Marvel Legends bodies. So obviously they're a lot bigger, a lot bulkier, a lot beefier. So yeah, for the DKR kind of customs, that really works well, and I would not trade it in for a VToys body. So with Batman and Superman there, they both look equally bulked out and very accurate to the comic books. And with the VToys body, it obviously is a lot more leaner compared to these bodies, although it is one of the bulkier custom bodies out there. Yeah, it's just different purposes and gets different jobs done. But yeah, for your purposes or for your requirements, you might go with either body and you'd still be happy. With the Marvel Legends, definitely you're losing a little bit of articulation because the VToys body is a lot more articulated. And with the Marvel Legends bodies, like I did mention before, you might be a little bit more limited in terms of head sculpt selection because the ball pegs are just so different. And even with the Batman, I had a lot of trouble. I'm using foam under the head just to keep the head in place. And yeah, it's hard to find the gauntlets. That's why Batman has like two pieces of fabric just wrapped around his arm to make it look like gauntlets. And I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to do gauntlets with spikes on it as well. But that's what I can come up with so far. But yeah, with Marvel Legends, because of not many characters having gauntlets, and even if they do have gauntlets, it's usually sculpted onto their arm. You don't have as many options, and especially with the boots, usually you don't have as many options because the pegs are a little bit different. But you can obviously swap around boots for Marvel Legends with Marvel Legends. So last but not least, we've got the Hercules Marvel Legends body. So comparing it next to the VToys body, I think the Hercules body is something that was only made for the Hercules figure. So I don't think I've seen it being used elsewhere, but they might use that moving forward because it's an absolutely amazing figure body. There's a lot of things going on in terms of the musculature and the size of the biceps and the shoulders. There's a lot of like weight and a lot of muscle on that body, so I really like that. With the VToys body, it just looks a lot scrawnier in terms of when you compare it next to the Hercules body. And if you change the Hercules body boots with the crossbones boots, you can make the figure so much taller. So I'm going to show you a custom just in a minute, but in terms of these two bodies and comparing them, the Marvel Legends body, because it's so bulky and so big, it's losing out on a lot of articulation. But if you compare them side by side, there's a lot of bulk that he's gained because of that body being so massive. So if you look at the shoulders and the biceps, it's just massive. There's a lot of girth there and a lot of width to the figure. So the VToys body is obviously a lot thinner when you compare them side by side. So for our last custom comparison, here we have the VToys BVS Superman that I was showing off earlier, next to the Bane that I created using the Hercules body and the crossbones boots. So basically, if you swap the boots around, you just get a bunch of height on this Hercules body. So that's what I used to create the Bane. So if you look at the Bane there, he's taller than the almost 7-inch Superman that was way too tall for everything else. So I think that the Hercules body is a great base body for characters like Bane. And if you look at the head sculpt there, it's basically just this head sculpt that's been painted a little bit different. And I'm still waiting for some rubber bands that I can use for like the tube or the piping on Bane, but that's probably on its way. It's just that Superman, even though he looks so much bigger than everybody else, this Bane absolutely dwarfs him. So with these kind of customs where you need a lot of mass, especially with the Bane on the left, the Marvel Legends Hercules body definitely gets the job done there. So just to give you a better sense of scale, this is what the custom BVS Superman and the custom Marvel Legends Bane looks like next to a default VToys body. So in terms of pegs and receptors, all these action figures have completely different pegs, so not everything is swappable. However, the hands on most MezKOs are compatible with the VToys body, so that's a plus. But there are quite a lot of different parts that you just can't get on the VToys body, especially like Batman cowl pieces, like this one, or the gauntlet pieces, and even the boots are really difficult to get on, so you might need to apply a lot of heat. And if the parts do not fit at all, the other way of making that work is putting some foam into the cavities so that you can fill it in with the peg, and it sometimes adds a little bit of friction so the boots stay on. So an example of that would be this Superman boot here. So I've added some foam, if you see that. So that foam has been added into the leg peg, so it just stays on, so the boot stays on a little bit better. So you can use tricks like that to make things work. Or if you need a bigger hole, sometimes you might need to Dremel things out. So you have to be a little bit creative in terms of fitting stuff in, because not everything is compatible and most of the times they won't work with each other. So yeah, I think just try things out. You definitely will see that most hands fit on the VToys body, but most other parts may not fit. So even with the head pieces, it's the same. Most heads have more MezKO kind of dimension, but even with MezKO, the heads are different dimensions, different shapes, different sizes. So you might not even be able to swap MezKO heads with other MezKO figures. So same like before, basically experiment with foam or hot glue or whatever you're comfortable with. And if your peg is smaller, you can always put in, so for this Superman head sculpt, I've put in a lot of foam in there, which makes it just like that little bit of opening for the peg to fit into, so that will really work. So try things out. So just so that we can try a few boots out, I've got a few boots from Action Figure Customs on eBay. So yeah, we'll just try to fit a few boots on. So first off, we will do the Punisher kind of boot, tactical boot, and that boot fits on perfectly on the VToys body. Next, we will try the Supreme Knight Batman boot, which also fits on almost perfectly on the body. So that's awesome. So next we will try the red skull boots. Whoa. And it friction fits on, but it's not exactly going into the peg. So you can still make it work, but it's not going 100% into the peg. So in terms of heads, the KO Batman head is too big, so that doesn't fit on at all. The custom Black Adam head is also too big. So yeah, uh, just use foam. I think that's probably the best way to go, but not many MezKO heads will fit on this body. So there you have it, guys. That's the video. It was just a quick comparison between all the different custom bodies that I use and all the different customs that I've come up with so far. I hope this video was enjoyable and also informative in a way, so hopefully this helped you out. I'll definitely be doing more customs in the future, but I think there are definitely a lot of pros about this action figure where there's a lot of posability, and the body looks so streamlined and also very organic, so it looks more natural. It looks like a good Alex Ross Superman. So for those kind of customs, this body definitely does the job. However, the thighs are a little bit too long, so with any MezKO parts, if they are a little bit tall, it would just make the figure look so much taller because of how tall the thighs are. So that's something to be careful about. Other than that, you would have a blast with the quality of the figure and the sturdiness of the figure as well. And currently my top two favorites are the MixMax Strong Body, which I think still is my favorite action figure to custom, and after that we've got the VToys Body. They both do an amazing job, but with the MixMax Strong Body there's just a little bit more customization capabilities because it's more similar to the MezKO bodies, so the swapping of parts is a lot easier, and also you can fit gauntlets and boots on, so that definitely helps. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.